Hey everybody, this is Alma coming to you from Long Beach, California. Today is Saturday, October 17th of the year 2020. And this is my 40th FlossTube video, believe it or not. So as always, I want to welcome you all. Welcome back to all of my returning viewers and subscribers. Thank you as always for your continuing support, for coming back week after week to check in on me. And of course, welcome to anybody that may be watching my channel for the first time. I hope that you like what you see and you find a reason to stay and subscribe and continue to follow me on my stitching journey. These couple of weeks have been pretty busy. Last week I did do a Stitch With Me video with one of my newer patterns, so I'll go ahead and show you what I did with that one, in case you didn't watch my Stitch With Me. So I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I also kept very busy. So yeah, without further ado, let's get to the stitching. The latest thing that I've been working on is, and this is going to be no particular order, because I just have them all piled up here and I'll just go with it. But the latest thing I've been working on is my Mandarin's Designs pattern. This is Bilbo's Home, which I started for the New Year New Start this year. So this is January 1st. I originally had very high hopes of finishing it before the year ended. I don't think that's going to happen now, so I'm shooting for at least getting 2/3 done. This is what I have so far, and I've done 500 stitches on this this week. Well, I say this week since my last video, just force of habit, but since my last video I did 500 stitches, and I need to do 500 more because I'm using this for one of the monthly prompts for Enchanted Stitching, where we need to stitch on something that is, that is anti-Halloween, because one of the characters kind of blows up Halloween, says that, you know, he's like too good for it. So I just thought, okay, well, in the beginning of the film, in the beginning of the novel of The Hobbit, Bilbo is very proper. You know, he doesn't necessarily approve of any shenanigans that might be going on. So so I just went with it and picked it. So the prompt is for 1,000 stitches, so that's why I need to do 500 more. But as you can see, the hills are pretty much all done. I still need to do, so these are supposed to be 2 more hobbit holes. Is that that's what they're called, right? Hobbit holes. So I do need to finish the hills, at least down here, but you can see the outline of where Bilbo is going to be. So as always, it's always a pleasure to work on this. I love those colors, and she uses a lot of blends. She uses a lot of blends and she uses a lot of colors, so it's always really nice. And I do have one more of her patterns lined up for No New Starts November. No New Starts, New Start November. No New Starts 2021. That's gonna be next year, but November's gonna be New Start November. So I have her Little Prince pattern, the Little Prince pattern, yeah, ready to go. So I'm looking forward to starting that one. And I just need to get this back in here. So yeah, I don't think I'll be able to finish it just because I have so much left to do still, plus all the detailing, and the detailing always takes a while. So yeah, at this point I'm also using this for one of the ultimate stitching tasks in Magical Stitches. So my goal is going to be to finish that one. Like once I finish that one, I've done 2,500, I think, and I need to do 2,500 more. because I did pick it for one of the larger count ones. So yes, so I'll go ahead and finish that task, and then I'll call it for that piece at least, and move on to the next. The next one I have here is the full moon pattern that I used for my Stitch With Me, and I don't have that printed. I don't have the cover picture printed, so I'll go ahead and show it to you guys over here on Pattern Keeper. This is full moon. Let me see if I can, sorry about the glare. I'm trying to do my best. This is full moon, and it's by Foxy Stitcher on Etsy. The pattern is available for purchase. And she has a couple of other designs there as well. But this was, I don't know, it just called to me. And I've done 2,500 stitches so far. So if you watched, I think for my Stitch With Me video, I think it was somewhere in this corner, I can't even remember. But this is what I've done so far. And I think I'll just go ahead and start working my ways to the side. So I'll go ahead and finish this color going down here, but then I'll start, because I'm pretty sure the next color or so is going to be the start of the moon outline. So I'll go ahead and start with that, and then just slowly but surely move my way to the side. So because I just don't want to have to deal with like moving the Q snaps back and forth, because that's what I've been doing so far, and it's getting really annoying really fast. But I am enjoying working on it. It's really easy. It's a really easy stitch. I'm really enjoying it. The next piece that I have here is my Frankenstein Sal. This is by Stitching Book Club. Her Etsy shop is Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. I think the last time you saw it, I had this ship finished and this house finished, maybe. So she did release another part, which is this snowflake right here, and then the guitar and the book. So for that one, for the guitar motifs, I did do a few changes. So the original pattern had just the guitar strings to go with it, but I decided to add the stops, you know, that you use when you actually play a guitar. Obviously it's not up to scale, it's not perfect, but I wanted to add that detail. And then originally the book is left blank, so I tweaked it so I could have room to put in my initials there. I think a few people have just gone ahead and replaced SBC with their own initials, but I did want to add that detail as well, wanting to keep it. This is obvious. Well, it's not obvious, but it's Stitching Book Club is what this stands for, and I did want to keep that in because this is, I wanted to commemorate the fact that we did this, you know, as a group. We stitched this together. Everybody's been working on it at their own pace. Last night I was on Virtual Stitchers, so I was zooming with a few stitching friends of mine, and there were maybe like 25 of us in there, and there were quite a few of us that were working on this. It was really funny because people kept coming in, and you know, one of the things we always ask is, what are you stitching on? So like I was the first one in, and I said, oh, I'm stitching on Frankenstein, which is like, okay. And then one more person came in and was like, what are you stitching on? Oh, I'm working on my Frankenstein. It's like, ah, okay, that's funny, me too. But then like, I think it was like 2 or 3 more people came in and they were also working on this. So it was just interesting. It's an easy, I feel like it's an easy thing to stitch on when you don't really have to think. Like I worked on the border, on this border right here while I was on Zoom, because it's mindless. I don't have to do a lot of thinking. But yeah, this is going to be a tombstone eventually, and this is, I think it's like a flower pot or something, I forget. But the last part comes out on Halloween. and apparently there's going to be like some sort of decorative stitching on the border, which was why I decided to go ahead and put in my initials on the book, is because originally I was just gonna have it like over here in the corner as I usually do, the lower right corner. But when one of my stitcher friends let me know that there was probably going to be something to be done with that border, so I'm like, okay, well, since I don't know what that something's gonna be, I don't know what it's gonna look like, I'll just go ahead and add it in. So yeah, so I'm really enjoying working on this. I'm gonna be a little bit sad when it's finished. The next one's Christmas Carol. She's gonna do a Christmas Carol, so I don't think I'll be able. I'm not much of a Christmas stitcher. I'm not much of a holiday stitcher to begin with. No Halloween, no Christmas, no holidays. So yeah, so I won't be joining for that one, at least. Another piece that I worked on the last couple of weeks is a piece that I hadn't really touched in a long time. I am trying to, at least, what I want to do is, well, this is Haku. First things first, this is Haku from Spirited Away, and I've been meaning to get this finished for that last like 3 or 4 months. I feel like I've been saying I want to finish it for the longest time. But what I want to do is I want to be able to, I'm trying to get this unstuck, sorry. But what I want to be able to do is I want to go through all my whips and stitch on them, get a sense of where I'm at, so that I can gauge what the goal will be for 2021. So for this one, I wish I could have finished it, gotten my act together and finished it. This is what I have done so far, and as always, the fabric doesn't really show up really well on camera. But what I did was I did this aqua green stitching over here. Well, actually, I finished all that color, really. You can't really see it. There was also some gray stitching over here, and then I also started on this light blue color that's over here, and that color actually is used for a lot of the outlining. So with that color, again, I'm trying to tilt it so you can see it. It's also right here, this line right here. So that's his tail right there. Yeah, no, this fabric is just doesn't show up really well, but I posted a picture on Instagram. You can see it there. It's slowly but surely taking shape. Like, I like how his body's slowly taking shape now. So this is obviously going to be slated for a finish this year. Again, I'm kind of leaning towards starting a few more things rather than worry about finishing. I figured with next year being no new starts, 2021, I'll just worry about finishing at that point. But this is gonna be one of the first things I do finish, because it's super close. It's super close. Like, I really just have to finish his body, and then take care of the detailing, and that's it. It'll be done, nice and quick. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see if I end up actually getting that done. So speaking of new starts, I did manage to start something new this week. My fabric order finally came in. I ordered it back in August. Yeah, beginning of August, and it just came in. So I was finally able, and it was for 25 count easy count, or easy guide, I forget what it's called, but obviously it was in very short supply, which is why it took so long to get here. But the see if it'll tilt. There we go. So this is what I started. and I'm trying to work with the glare. Oh my god, I can see my reflection in there. But this is a stitch in time. It's one of Amy Stewart's bookshelves. I'm sure you've seen this at one point or another if you are in the full coverage, I don't know, world. And this was actually one of the first patterns that I ever got. I just fell in love with it. I loved the idea of all the little vignettes, because it's a ton of tiny little scenes, different scenes of women stitching. So, and there's a version of this that's called, I think it's just called Stitching Bookshelf, which is this, except without, oops, it left, it disappeared. It's the same thing, it just doesn't have the stitch in time message or logo thing in the center. But I kind of liked it. Like I liked how it does look like you know, several women stitching through time. Like, you know, the art form is just endless, timeless, right? So for that one, I did order my 25 count fabric, and I don't have much of a start because I started on the bottom right corner, which is snow, because that's the other thing. Each shelf, I guess, is a different season. So I'm putting it against the light so that you can see where it is. It's like this spot right here. It's 150 stitches of just white. It's white. I think there's 38, 56 in there, which is like a really light blue, but yeah, it's not much of a start. I do need to put in at least 50 more stitches in it for No New Starts 2021. The minimum stitch count for something to count as a whip is 200. So, but that's okay. I do plan on stitching on this a little bit more. Obviously, it's a new start. I want to make a decent start on it. But I am also going to be starting a few other things. The fabric was also enough to... The reason why I got the fabric, the main project that I want to finish is Reader's Paradise, which is another one of Amy Stewart's bookshelves. Not bookshelves, designs. It's a room. It's not a book. She does several different designs, but this is, I'm sure you've seen it as well. This is Reader's Paradise, and it's like a little bookstore, all sorts of books. There's a little cat. It's like my favorite thing. There's a little cat right there. I don't know if you can see it, but he's like snuggled up on the stairs. It's super cute. But yeah, when this came out, I knew that I had to stitch it, and this is gonna be super sized, so it's gonna be a big one. And then I had spare fabric, so I'll be able to start a few other things. The first thing that I want to start is this is called Caramel Macchiato from Tilton Crafts, and funnily enough, like when I got this, I remember getting it and thinking like, this looks like Ariana Grande, but there was nowhere in the design that said anything about Ariana. But since then, they've changed it. They've changed the name of the pattern, and it is called Ariana Grande now. Ariana Caramel Macchiato, something like that. But her name is there. So I was like, ah, okay, I knew it. But I still like it. I'm not like the biggest fan of hers, but I did like the pattern. So sorry, that was like a little side tangent on plans. I'm really excited to start everything. For Reader's Paradise, I'm waiting on a stitching friend of mine, from Test Stitches. I'm waiting on her so she can get her fabric so we can start it together, which is gonna be cool. Anyways, I did keep on stitching. Obviously, one of the major focuses for this year for me has been my Hogwarts castle piece. This is my oldest whip right now. I started this back in June of 2018, and I do want to finish it next year. The goal for this year was to reach 80,000 stitches. So, and I think I'm at like 72, I forget. But since the beginning of the month, I've done 3,000 stitches this month alone. So this is what I've been working on. Since you've seen it, I did kind of finish up some rows here on the, I'll just unfold it, it's fine. You can see the entire image. So here we go. This is how it looks. Again, I feel like I show this week after week and it doesn't look like it's moving along as much as I intended to. But since then, I did kind of go a little bit further here, on the black at least, and then I decided to go back to the upper area to keep working on the building itself, since all this is just like rocks and boulders. So I finished the black on this tower, and then I did the black. So I think there must be like another window going here or something. It looks like it. So what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and take I know I keep saying, oh, I'm gonna work on all the black first, but in order to go ahead and keep moving the Q-snap, I'll go ahead and finish this area right here. That'll give me a little bit of wiggle room to keep inching along. But since I did stitch so much on this this month already, I used it for a couple of different tasks. So I did it for enchanted stitching. We had to stitch on something, and forgive me if I said this last week or last video, but we had to stitch on something that had to do with either witches or with colonial times because of the Salem witch trials. Yeah, I feel like I talked about this. The Salem witch trials is 1693. So that's how many stitches I did put in on this. And then last week I used it for the weekly tasks for magical stitches, where first we had to stitch on our oldest whip. So again, oldest whip, and then our middle whip, and then our youngest whip. But I just decided I wanted to keep going on Hogwarts and just use the penalty stitch option to keep stitching on the castle instead of picking up my newest, my middle and my newest whip. So sorry for the noise. Lastly, I did pick up another piece that I hadn't really touched in a while. Actually, no, I have two more things to show you. First, this is my galaxy flowers. This is by 2x2 Stitch Art. So that's the name of the Etsy shop right on top. I did start this a few months ago, but I kind of just put in a few hundred stitches on it and then didn't pick it up for the longest time. But I did do quite a bit of work this time around. I think I did 1,000 stitches this month. So this is what I have so far. When I last showed this, if you guys remember, I had only done this flower right here. So I had done this flower with this little, I don't know, whatever that is, and then the stem and the leaf. So ever since then, actually I don't even know if I did the leaf or not, but I did all of this. So all of this on the bottom and all of this big flower over here. So I'm using this for one of the ultimate stitching tasks for magical stitches that requires 2,000 stitches. So I'm at the halfway point on this. So I need to stitch at least 1,000 more stitches on this, and I think that's going to be my marker for whatever pieces I'm using for ultimate stitching tasks. I feel like that's going to be the point where I stop working on them for the year. So for this one, once I reach those 2,000 stitches, I'll go ahead and set it aside until the end of the year, or the beginning of next year. Bilbo as well. Bilbo's Home is one of the ones that I'm using. So for that one, I think I have 2,500 more stitches to go. I'm also using Change of Seasons, which is my mystic stitch pattern. That one needs a lot. That one needs a lot of stitching. And then the next one that I am using for an ultimate stitching task is my Julie Fain piece. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs chart called Mini Midnight Stroll, and you guys have seen this is a regular for me. Because I do want to make it, it's a present, so I want to make sure that I do finish it relatively quickly. But this one is also used for an ultimate stitching task. I have to do 10,000 stitches by the end of the year. So I don't know exactly when the last time I showed it to you was, but I have been working on the sky over here most of the time. I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and just keep stitching my way down to the bottom of the piece, so I can get all those purples done before I move on to the moon. But we'll see, because I feel like for me it also depends on the Q snaps, because I don't want to have to keep moving around the Q snap for too much. But I did use this for a couple of the monthly prompts as well for enchanted stitching. We needed to work on something that had one of our favorite things. So I said that I've always loved fantasy, fairy tales. So this has a fairy in it, so I went with it. And then there was also one that we had to work on something, a pattern that always surprised us. And each prompt was 500 stitches. So I think overall I must have done 1,000 stitches on this since you last saw it. But I just said that this keeps surprising me because in all the purples, every now and then there'll be like a pop of pink, dark pinks. So yeah, so it keeps surprising me. Yeah, so I'll keep working on this until I get the ultimate stitching task done, which again might take me until the end of the year. So I don't think this particular project will get much of a break. But yeah, that is all I have to show you. Funny because I meant to talk about plants now, but I just ended up, side tangent into it earlier. But yeah, so I am going to be starting a few other pieces with the fabric that I got, so that I have all the things that I could possibly want to start for next year, for No New Starts 2021. I also am kind of gearing up to begin for next month in November. Full Coverage Fanatics is going to be having a Wheel of Fortune challenge. So I'm also kind of already thinking of which projects I would want to use for it. But I also feel like I have to look through the rules again, because I don't know if they released all the details. I feel like they did though, because they did release a bunch of information. So I just have to get myself organized. If anything, I may just use the Fame Fairy if it applies, but otherwise I'll just think of something else. But that is happening next month. And then obviously, next month, that's November. Like, we're already coming into November. I'm already thinking of 2021 challenges. So specifically for full coverage fanatics, they're gonna have the books challenge, which I'm really excited about. So I'm already thinking of how I'm gonna tie that into my other stitching challenge groups. But I don't know, I feel like just based on experience I shouldn't make too many plans, because then I end up changing them pretty much immediately once the year starts. Yeah, that's all I have to show you today. I do want to give a shout out to a friend of mine that just started her FlossTube channel. Her name's Daphne. I'll go ahead and link her FlossTube channel below, so go ahead and check her out, show some support. Yeah, thank you for coming to visit. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via Instagram or leave a comment below. I do try to at least filter through the comments to see if there's any questions, so I can get to those sooner rather than later. Otherwise, you know, send me a message through Instagram, because that's pretty much, you'll get a response with me relatively soon. I do have my Buy Me a Coffee link still up and available. If you guys want to show support, it would be very much appreciated. Otherwise, again, thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. I hope you have a good weekend, you have a productive week, and you always find the time to do the thing that makes you happy. Until next time, guys, take care.